Hi there, it's Miss Tiffany from the Butler Area Public Library, and I'm here with another Library 101 video. Remember, the Library 101 series is a series of videos that are helpful in learning about our library, about the different services and materials that we have, and about information literacy in general. In our past videos, we've talked a little bit about what it means to be a patron of the library. That's someone who uses the library in any way. And we've talked a little bit about library cards and the benefits of having a library card and how to get a card at the Butler Area Public Library. So today we're going to talk about another important topic, and that topic is the do's and don'ts when taking care of your library materials. All right, so we're going to talk about how to take care of the books you borrow from the library. Now, when you're borrowing something from the library, we say the word borrow because that's exactly what it is. That book or that magazine or that movie, that belongs to the library. And we're lending it to you with the understanding that you're going to use it and take good care of it. And then you're going to bring it back to us so that someone else can use it. We really want to make sure that we are keeping the materials in the library in good condition so that as many people as possible can use it. People can get the access to the information that they need, but only if we have that information here. Nothing is worse than coming to the library looking for a specific book and you can't borrow it because it's been lost or it's been ruined. So we're going to talk about how to take care of your library materials and keep them in good shape so that everybody can borrow them, right? All right. So the first do is you do want to make sure that you are keeping materials clean and dry, okay? In order to do that, though, there are some don'ts. Don't eat or drink while you're reading your library books or get food or drink near any of your library materials. We want to make sure that you don't get any food stains or any kind of liquid on any of the library materials, okay? You also want to make sure that you don't expose library materials to water or liquid of any sort, including bad weather. So you don't want to have a book out in the rain. You want to make sure you don't drop a book in a puddle or the bathtub or anything like that, because anything liquid is going to ruin that book. Our next do is you do want to keep the book in good condition. That means you want to make sure that the book looks nice and is able to be used the way it should be used, right? That means that if you're using a book and you need to take a break, you want to do something like using a bookmark to mark your place. You can use a bookmark that you buy from a store. You can make a bookmark out of paper. We have bookmarks here at the library. If you don't have a bookmark handy, you could use any thin piece of paper like Miss Tiffany's do sign here. I could put this in a book as a bookmark because it's nice and thin, but will still hold my place in the book, right? You do want to make sure that you are storing the book in a safe place when you've got it at your house. So either a special place on your bookshelf, or maybe you have a special box that you put your library materials in so that you always know where they are and they are safe. The same thing if you are taking your book anywhere, even if it's just when you take your book from the library home and then bringing it back to the library, you want to make sure you're keeping it safe. So it's a good idea to have a bag that you put all of your library stuff in, or keep it in your backpack if you have a backpack. Now, we went over the do's, which means we have some don'ts, okay? We don't want to mark our place in the book by bending the corner of the page down, right? We don't want to mark our place in the book by using something that's not a bookmark, like a dirty sock or a clean sock. Don't want to use that either. We don't want to use something like a hair tie or anything that might have food on it. You really want to make sure that you're keeping the place marked in the appropriate way, okay? We also want to make sure that we don't damage the pages of the book in any way. That means You can't write in the book in any way, not with pencil, not with pen, not with marker, not with crayon, not with highlighter. You don't want to put any marks inside the book. You also want to make sure that you're not cutting or tearing the pages of the book, right? Another big don't is don't leave books lying around where they could be stepped on, because that could ruin them too. And definitely don't throw your library books. We want to make sure that we are using them appropriately. So our next do is that we do want to assume responsibility for our library books. And responsibility is kind of a big word, right? And it's kind of a big idea too. Being responsible for something means that you are promising that you are going to do your very best to make sure that everything is okay and that you're following all the rules. So when you say you're going to be responsible for your library materials, you're promising that you are going to bring it back on time. You're promising that you're going to bring it back in good condition, and you're promising that you're not going to use it in any way that you shouldn't use it, right? That means you always want to know where your library materials are. That's why it's a good idea to keep them in a special place, either on a bookshelf or in a box at your house, because then you always know where they are, right? Similarly, you always want to be the one using the item. So if you guys have a ritual of reading at bedtime, you want to be the one to make sure that you know where your library book is if you're using a library book for that. That means that you don't want to lend your library materials to anyone else. When you check something out of the library and you say you're going to be responsible for it, you are the one responsible for it. So if you lend it to someone else and they ruin it or they lose it, you're still the one responsible for it. So don't lend your library materials to anyone else. Even if they say, I really want to read that book, just tell them, hey, you can get it from the library. Here's how you get a library card. You also want to make sure that if you have a younger sibling or a pet of any kind in your house, that they can't access the library book, because sometimes they will accidentally do damage to it. They might chew it up, they might tear it, they might accidentally scribble in it with crayons. So you want to make sure that no one else can get access to your library materials. Now, I know a lot of my library friends like to read with other people. They might read with their parent or caregiver. They might read with their friend. Sometimes you might even read to a pet. And that is all okay. You can use your library materials to do that as long as you're the one in charge of it. So you want to be the one responsible for the item. And that means if you decide you want to read at bedtime with mommy or grandma, then you say, this is my library book, and when we're done with it, we need to put it back where it belongs so that I can return it to the library, right? So those are some of the do's and don'ts of how to take care of library materials. And I wanted to show you an example of what happens when you don't take care of a library book, okay? So this is a very popular book. I think we may have seen this in one of our other videos. This is a Dogman book, and the Dogman books are super popular in Miss Tiffany's department. A lot of kids want to read them, which means it's really important that we have them on the shelves and available for people to borrow. This was a brand new copy of a Dogman book, and when it came back, it was ruined. The insides have come out of the book. Now, sometimes we can fix that kind of damage and sometimes we can't. So this is why it's so important that you take care of your library materials, because even if we can fix this, it's going to take a while, and that is time that somebody could have been borrowing this item. Now, we know that accidents happen, and we need you to tell us when those accidents happen so that we can take care of it, all right? But in general, these are good rules to follow to help you take care of your library materials and to make sure those accidents don't happen, all right? So thank you for joining me as we went over the do's and don'ts of taking care of your library books. I have created a little worksheet. I'm going to link that in the description of this video so that you can do an exercise helping you remember things that you should and should not do when you're taking care of your library materials. I'm going to link my contact information in the description as well, so that if you have questions about any kinds of library topics, looking for specific library materials, or even want to suggest future video ideas for me, you can email me to do so. You can also always call me at the library. So thank you so much for joining me for our Library 101 do's and don'ts of taking care of your library materials. And until next time, happy reading.